Spectacular fail festival.
let's get a lot of ones this session. I'll keep a tally. Okay, so we are live. If you guys don't mind, I'll starting here with Corey, and then Joseph, Mike, and Juve. Go ahead and introduce yourselves and your character, please.
Hi, I'm Corey. I'm playing Thronk Grushmar, half-orc sorcerer. I was the muscle, I don't know if I still am, and the face of the party, but definitely not the brains.
All right, Joseph?
Yeah. You need me to do the introduction for my character, or are we...
Yeah, just a little bit, just to get Juve caught up because he wasn't here last session.
Okay, so
just
basically,
like a brief intro.
Yeah, the briefest of intros would be my character hired these people to go with her to search this abandoned estate in this backwater town, and we basically gathered together transportation via carriage to the manor, and while traveling to the manor, we were ambushed by a pack of wolves, seemingly. But through our heroic efforts and multiple failed attacks from both sides, we were triumphant in our escape before arriving at the town. Nobody particularly injured, enemy or ally alike. And we quickly decided to disregard the railroad of the GM and went directly into the manor. And we immediately investigated the place, and it was very strange as if someone had carefully picked through choice objects in the manor. We had the feeling that small creatures, perhaps children, had been picking through choice items in the manor and taking them out. We also noticed. I remember there was something about the sleeping poppy, whatever. I don't remember what exactly the deal that was. That was somebody was putting themselves to sleep at night with a sleep concoction.
Yeah, you came across a flower there at the Goodrow Estate. And, yeah. And the flower, go ahead and pull it up right here. The flower was called, actually, I don't think I gave you guys a name. I'll actually have to pull it up.
we did pick a name. I don't remember what it was though.
Okay, well, why don't you name it right now?
Dude, we're gonna call it a white lilac. How about that?
White lilac, excellent. Excellent. So go ahead.
So we found that there was a white lilac there. Perhaps someone living there using it to put themselves to sleep at night. The plant very native to the outside of the building, as Ruby obviously knew from her training and knowledge of nature in the university. Yep. And we went through. We searched the rooms. We found a cloak bearing their sigil in a chest. One of the few items left there. Most everything else of value being ransacked, but one thing that Ruby would have noticed upon stepping outside the house would have been a bookshelf. And as she stepped outside of the house, her instincts as a sage might kick in and beckon her back into the house, never able to turn away from a book. Perhaps the mysteries being held within demanding further attention before they decide to venture over to the whatever. I think we're going to go check out the stables.
Yeah, but Joseph, all I asked was for a character introduction, but thank you for the
I'm sorry. I thought you meant the Oh, no, well, that's the whole recap, that's the whole recap, okay. Yeah, I'm glad you interrupted me after, I did the whole thing. Okay. Yes, and Ruby, all right, I'll give you a description of Ruby then, okay?
It's okay,
Ruby herself, though, is a rather lithe woman of copper complexion with raven black hair, and she always wears like an explorer's outfit with a pith hat. And she has these strange crimson eyes that hint at some weird heritage behind her. But she actually just works at the university, often trying to teach students some of the secrets of the world. But often the secrets and stories are too much for her to handle, and she feels compelled to go on, perhaps questionable adventures to live some of them out herself. And in this particular instance, she's hoping to find some sort of offering to give back to the university, to have them overlook her disregard for duty at the job, and maybe not fire her for leaving unannounced without warning multiple times.
Gotcha. Excellent. All right, so Mike?
All right. I am playing an elven ranger named Laughing Fox. She's from the Verdant, a very primordial forest place in the world. She left when she came of age to see the world, and she's very distinguishable as an outsider, as she has short brown hair and is covered almost in head to toe in various paints and tattoos, and wears generally a leather harness, and carries with her 2 blades and a longbow.
Excellent. And Juve, if you want to go ahead and give us your plug, I believe you've already described Dragon.
Yes. So I play D&D sometime, but I play pretty much everything. My current 2 major projects is a giant World of Darkness mega game featuring werewolves, vampires, and mages. I also will be doing a Changing Breed game, and then possibly evolving into Call of Cthulhu or Palladium Light Gaming. My channel is Rex Apocalypse. You can find me there or on the One Shot group. If you ever need a player or a GM, I'm your guy. That's basically it, and nice to be playing with all y'all.
Excellent. Okay, so we don't need to do a recap. So, Joseph, I'll give you an inspiration for covering the recap. I was going to offer that, but since you kind of jumped on it, I'll give it to you.
Heck yeah. It was meant to be.
I will start here with an intro, though. Let's go ahead and start. So, our heroes are in a carriage ride just outside of Maroon when danger rears its ugly head, and 4 sickly-looking wolves attack the carriage, nipping at the heels of the mules that are pulling it, pulling the carriage, carrying our heroes off to Maroon. And Ruby almost loses her sword during a strike at the wolves, launching the blade back into the carriage. Laughing Fox climbs onto the rocky carriage and took a couple shots from her bow. Things take a turn for the better when Thronk spooks the wolves away with a fire illusion to draw them away from the carriage, forcing the wolves outside of the road and slowing them down. From here they lose step and wind, falling far behind the carriage, but not before Laughing Fox, firing one last arrow from her bow, kills one of the hounds. A moment later, we find our heroes themselves at the front door at the assumed-to-be Goodrow Estate. Our heroes put on their detective hats and began looking through the house for clues. We rejoin them, standing on the front porch, but not before Ruby, as explained earlier, suddenly realized that she had forgotten to look at the bookcase that she was thinking about.
Yeah, she would have this alarmed look on her face as if her mind had left her for just a moment, and she would kind of look to her allies, not even explaining herself. She would just say, "Books, books, the books." You guys not know the books?
What are you talking about?
And when her allies kind of give her that blank stare, she kind of like is exasperated, and she says, "We didn't check the bookshelf. Do you not know about books? Like, they have tales of stories long forgotten, bound by just the most elaborate of materials. They're priceless artifacts, jewels of stories in the past, perhaps forebearers of the future. We need to look and check them out real quick. And you'd see her immediately kind of run up the stairs and run back to the room with the bookshelf, perhaps making a bit of a spectacle out of herself.
As Ruby, you're beginning to run up the stairs, the four of you suddenly hear the sound of galloping hooves. And it's coming from the direction that your carriage came from a moment ago. And after a few more moments, Ruby, I don't know if you decided to stay on the porch to listen or to just continue running back inside. But if you did go inside, yeah, so you would probably run inside. And the other two, you were standing outside and you hear the pounding of the hooves against the dirt as they come along the trail. And you see a dragonborn with black scales, dressed in a chain shirt with two scimitars at his hips, riding past on his horse. And Juve, Drygor, does he see his companions there, or does he continue into the town of Maroon to catch up to where he assumes they would be?
I would probably ride by and slow down and ask if they have, and tell them I'm looking for a party. I missed them at the last location. Tell them the last spot I saw them at. And ask them, have you seen them?
So you would ask this to the party members that are standing in front of the Goodrow Estate, or would you ride past and ride into town?
I would ask if they might have seen them. Have I met these two before now?
Yes, you have met these two before. What had happened is that you probably came late to the carriage, and so the carriage left without you. And so you hopped on your horse riding after the carriage. And here you are. You have just finally caught up to him.
Then I would just slow down and I finally caught up to you.
Excellent.
The blacksmith took too long sharpening my blades. I think he had too much meat in him that morning.
And what you see here, Juve, is you came riding down this dirt road where the brush started piling up against the side of the roads, and the mist sort of kind of began creeping in, and it's just starting to hit evening, and the sun is starting to break down on the edges of the forest, and so it's starting to turn the sky a beautiful purple, kind of a golden color. And you see these two on the right side of the road, where you all see a large 2-story, like a plantation style house with like columns on the front, and just to the right of the house. And by the way, the house looks like it's in a little bit of a mess. There's mud everywhere around the front door. There's even part of a shattered banister that wraps around the porch. And just to the right of the house, you see what seems to be a shed just large enough to house a horse and to take care of it. And to the right of that shed is a small pen where there is a dead horse lying in the center of it. And its body has begun rotting from the belly up, and things have been gnawing on it. So its entrails and its guts are kind of pulled out of it, laying out, soaking in the sun as flesh flies. You can see them buzzing around over top of them, feasting on the decaying horse.
So I'm like, this town looks like it has a lot of death.
Yes, we ran across some wolves in the woods as well, and they looked quite mangy.
And
There's some kind of blood upon this land.
As I was taught in the military, we must do what is required and stick to our duty.
Excellent. And as you guys are talking outside, Joseph, Ruby is now inside rummaging through that bookcase, correct?
Yes, looking for any book that perhaps she hasn't read. That's a vast library in town.
Okay. Well, most of these books are just your Some of them are just basic encyclopedias that you could purchase from an academy there in town. Just something with some basic information about the history of the lands of Manera and of the Verdant and of the bloody war between the two countries in the past, as well as some old tomes depicting like family heritage and ancestry for the Goodrows. But you do come across something pretty interesting, and it's actually a journal that is signs underneath on the cover from Daryl Goodrow.
So Ruby's eyes would light up at this delicious score, and she remembers that they were allowed to loot anything that they find, right?
That is correct.
As long as they. So she would also know that these books are valuable books, in this time period are expensive to create and such. And perhaps even this lineage book, maybe she could convince the university that this is some prized possession that they can't possibly live without. Although that might be a bit of a stretch, as you see her stuffing all the books in there, and then she kind of casually would walk down to her allies, spotting the black dragon as he stands before them, right?
Yep. Well, he's still on his horse, unless you've dismounted, Juve.
Well, she would look up at him, I guess, and you kind of have this weird thing on her. Like, she looks like she's so happy she's not even mad that he's super late. And she would say, "Oh, well, I'm glad you showed up. We could use a dragon." And it's quite clear that she's distracted by the journal, as you could start to see her kind of flipping through it and trying to have her allies become as enthralled by the book as she is, hoping any of them are learned individuals who could actually read.
I learned all the knowledge I need of life at sea.
Do any of you guys have like 10 or higher intelligence?
I do. I think. Let me make sure.
I was gonna say one of the kind of the house rules my GM likes to use is if your character doesn't have a 10 intelligence, you can't read. But yeah, with that, then if the person showed any interest, she would kind of regale him with these perhaps hidden stories of perhaps great intrigue or great boringness, just the drudgery of common life.
Laughing Fox kind of pretends to be interested.
Which is a bad choice, because Ruby takes that as fact and just shoves the book in your face, demanding that you enjoy it as well.
I myself sit down and see if there's read the book as well, out of curiosity in general, because as my mother instructed me, all knowledge, especially of a foreign land, could potentially be important in both adventuring and exploring.
Gotcha.
I'm gonna kind of shake my head and walk over to the decaying horse and just look to see if I can figure anything out about the area.
Okay, so we will come back to you, Thronk, as you step away to go investigate the area with the dead horse. Now, starting at the end of the journal, how far back would you like to? I mean, like, you don't have all day to stand here. It's going to start getting dark. But then again, the journal's not all that thick. So you tell me.
You would kind of have this idea that Ruby would just sit there and read it back to front until somebody got irritated and literally just told her that they had stuff to do. Or if the book just proved to be completely boring and devoid of information.
Well, as a matter of fact, most of it is kind of boring merchant talk. However, there are a couple pieces of information that you can pull out from taking the time to read over it, because you're probably going to be reading it for the next 10, 20 minutes while everyone else is moving around. You do read just these little bits of info that Daryl was wanting to go back to Manera, and that they had moved here from Manera long ago. And he was in an unhappy marriage, and that he was only staying with his wife, whose name that you now know is Felicia. he was only staying with Felicia to to appease Giselle, their daughter. And that is pretty much the gist of what the journal contains, outside of some merchant talk about cotton and um, the major exports of Waycrest and the fields and things.
Well, I'm like, well, did you get anything out? I mean, from what I read, doesn't seem like there's much we can pull from this unless I missed something. What do you think, Ruby?
And Ruby kind of smirks a bit, and she says, "Well, I mean, it makes sense. I wouldn't want to live here. There's no library here. There's no they have a shortage of books."
There's more to life than just books.
Yes, adventure. Adventure is worthy of being in books. Yes.
So while you guys are discussing the books together, Thronk, you kind of wander over the stable. And as you're kind of looking at the stable, you can see that it's definitely designed for two horses, but not really to live in. More or less just for holding them and for letting them stand in while they do things. Like if you're be tacking them or if you're ferrying the horse. So when you get over there and you look in, the first thing you notice is the horse shit in the corner that smells awful. It is dried up. It is old. Several weeks. I mean, like this is just like stuck there, and there are flies everywhere. It stinks. It stinks really bad around here. And the closer you get to the horse, it's kind of a mixture of the old, uncleaned area where the horse is standing and the dead one that is now decaying out there in the pen. And so the flies are kind of increasing in number. There's just so many of them. And what you do notice is that there are horseshoes, old horseshoes laying on the ground, as well as a hammer and some nails there. And in addition to that, you do find that the tracks from the horse that was obviously standing here are the ones that lead to the front door, or not to the front door, but to the front porch, where the banister was broken at.
Okay. Well, I don't think I would have enough knowledge to look to see if the tracks of the horse that was walking around were shod or not. But is the horseshoes that are there? Is it like a set? Is there 4 of them or what?
Yes, it's all 4 of them, and they look kind of worn and weathered.
Okay, so it's as if somebody changed the shoes on a horse, and these were the ones that were taken off.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
All right.
I'm gonna grab probably just one of the horseshoes, and kind of bring it back over to the group.
All right. What's this?
There was a horse. There was another horse with the one that's dead there. That before people left with it and rode it around up to the house and whatnot, it looks like they reshod it. They changed its shoes and just left the old ones out here to rust. I know that they were a wealthy family, but it's still kind of a waste to leave the shoes around. They may have been in a hurry, or might have been stealing it and not cared about the old shoes.
Well, like I told you earlier, they're probably fleeing from something.
Right.
I am I am convinced of this.
Then I will. Am I seeing this as well, or am I still in the library?
No, you're there. You guys weren't in a library. That was just Ruby talking about libraries when she came out with the book.
It's as if I'm in the library as I read these books, but not quite.
But yeah, you're definitely there. The four of you are standing kind of in a huddle outside, between the house and the shed there. And then there's the road that goes left back toward Monero where you came from, and right the rest of the way into town, which is only about a football field's distance. And Drygon's horse, who's just kind of standing there.
Did we get any solid leads on where they're heading?
From you asking me or someone?
If anyone can track it, but it looks like they eventually got to the main highway here, and
Yeah,
who knows where the horse after that.
Let's follow
gotcha,
the.
yeah.
Ruby would like show you the book and be like, "This is the only knowledge I know how to track."
I say we just
And,
follow the boots.
Boots go to the main road. The main road is covered in tracks.
That is true. I don't think I got heightened senses. Well, we can always follow the tracks to the main road, see which is the heavier traffic, and then possibly determine based upon which one has the most traffic, they might have went in that general direction.
It is also late, right? Like it's evening?
Yes, it's starting to darken. The sky is starting to turn a nice dark purple.
Will that work?
Yeah, I think we can try that, and if all else fails, we can go into town and find beds for the evening and come back when there's light.
Yes. They are at a disadvantage at nighttime. Easier for ambushes to occur.
Yeah, and I can't see very well in the dark. I don't have these built-in lights in my eyes. It's troublesome. The red is kind of just for flavor, not so much for the dark vision.
So, do you guys decide to head over to the road and take a closer look at the tracks, or head into town? What was it?
We're going to look at the road and see which way it looks like more traffic goes in.
Okay, gotcha. Well, let's see. Let's go with Laughing Fox. You're definitely the tracker type. Well, go ahead and give me a perception check, please. Or would you rather use investigation? Or perhaps Ruby would use investigation. It's up to you guys.
I think perception would be better for me.
Ruby is a master investigator.
Okay, so maybe using your investigation skills, you can assist Laughing Fox with her perception check.
All right. Do you want me to roll that, or?
Yeah. Go ahead and roll it.
All right. That roll. That roll is not good.
I got 19.
Okay, excellent. So, Laughing Fox, as you're coming over there, you're probably a little distracted by Ruby's suggestions, but from what you can see is that the heavier traffic is definitely coming from town. The heavier traffic definitely, the road seems more worn in town because there's more travel going from town out toward Monera. So more people are leaving Maroon than they are arriving.
I guess we should go investigate the towns, figure out why they're all leaving.
Ruby would have had a 13 on that investigate, so yeah, not that good. Rolling a 6.
Excellent. So as you guys are headed back into town, what you can see, the first thing that you see is that there is a post guard, or excuse me, a guard posted there with one of the road signs they're at. And it's got an arrow pointing left, right into town saying Maroon, another arrow pointed the other way out of town saying Manera, and like a third one kind of pointing in an angle that says Fort Sinclair. And it kind of creates like a three-way stop here. One heads toward Fort Sinclair, one goes to Maroon, but right here at the edge of where the sign is at is the city of Maroon. You can obviously see it. And in fact, you have to pass through Maroon to get to Sinclair. So what you do see is this road on your right is rather well worn, and there's plenty of houses. And off to the right, you see like a large garrison and like a blacksmith. And you can kind of hear him kind of hammering off in the distance, working on maybe some tools or something. And you can hear people moving, hustling and bustling around because the town is a little active because people are just kind of going to the well, cleaning themselves up and things like that, getting water, cooking food. So there's all sorts of smells going on. But in general, the place is still actually rather muddy, like it just had rained the previous day. And people are kind of walking off the sides of the road where there's more grass than there is mud. And further to the right, you see that there's like a large town hall kind of an area or kind of building, as well as some carts. And off to your left, you also see that there's all sorts of housing going on, as well as a tavern and an inn across the street from the tavern, and a chapel further down, some sort of temple.
I say we should check out the tavern first, grab some food for the day, and possibly pick up on any intel that the locals can give us about what's going on.
Yeah. I'm not sure if anybody in the tavern will recognize me. It's been a long time since I've been back here. If they do, this could be interesting. But it'll be a hell of a place to start.
Do you have some bad history here?
When I was forced out of the seafaring life, I was deposited here, and I was just coming into my powers at the time and was having a hard time controlling them, and it led to some interesting situations.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Well, I kind of have to. I mean, have you looked at this mug? As I smirk over.
Let's see. So you guys are going to be headed off into the tavern. Oh, and by the way, Corey, I had a question for you. Were you dropped off in Ulster?
Oh,
and you came to Maroon?
I was thinking Maroon, because that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, yeah, that's fine. I was just trying to remember which town it was because I couldn't remember.
Yeah, I was thinking Maroon directly, but.
Excellent. That works. Okay, that actually works out rather well.
I honestly picked Maroon specifically because it was like, oh yeah, they dropped him off in Maroon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Maroon did Maroon.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you head down to the tavern, and Thronk, you kind of recognize the place. It doesn't look like it's changed in years. Laughing Fox, last time you came by, which was a couple of years ago, it definitely looks to be the exact same tavern that you probably passed by, and you might have even recommended people come to this tavern just because you knew it was here, not because you knew it was good or because you particularly were in it, but because you knew it was here. It's the only tavern for miles. So as you guys approach the front door of the tavern, and as you can see, it's like a one-story tavern. It's not too big, but the front door kind of slams open, and this dwarf kind of walks out, and he's kind of stumbling around a little bit, and he kind of hiccups, and stumbles around the corner and doesn't even notice you guys and stops right there on the corner of the building, pulls down his pants, starts taking a piss. And you can hear like a little bit of chatter coming from inside, but no music.
Continue to walk over.
Yeah, I'll just go right on up and in.
Yeah, I'm just going to ignore that.
So as you guys walk past the dwarf, he just kind of like, you can kind of hear him humming to himself, as he's kind of like standing there and swaying, and you guys walk into the tavern. And the first thing you see is that there's like a table straight ahead of you with some kegs on it, and like a little kind of a bar in front of it where there's this lady standing. She kind of looks like she's an older lady in her late 40s, human, and she's got some gray hair going on, and she doesn't really look like she's had the best of years. She looks rather well weathered. And she's just kind of standing there filling up tankards for a couple of the regulars, obviously, because they're just kind of sitting there chatting and passing things back and forth. And there's about 3 of them sitting there at the bar, and looking around, there's only like 2 tables. And one of the tables is full of a couple of ladies as well as a guy sitting there, and they're just kind of chatting with one another. And then you see the open table there with a few chairs. But you kind of notice that the bartendress is eyeballing you as soon as the door opens, especially you, Laughing Fox, and Drygon. She's definitely eyeballing you guys. But then she kind of sees Gronk come in, and her eyes kind of narrow.
I'm going to give a big toothy smile. Good evening.
And she kind of sees you, Thronk, and she passes like a flagon off to someone and says, "Hey, I haven't seen you in forever." Thronk,
well, I figured.
was it?
What's that?
Thronk, was it?
It is. I figured after the last time I was in here, I'd wait a while to come back.
Yeah, I would definitely hope so. In fact, if I'd have known where you were, or if you'd have come back again, I probably would have banned you.
Well, it's a good thing that didn't happen.
I second that.
So, what can I get you folks? You strange folks.
I'm not strange. I'm just not from around here.
I could definitely see that, judging by the quality of your clothing. As you can see, most of us around here are just some poor folk.
And Ruby kind of thinks for a moment, and she tries to speak words that are like, will raise their spirits. And she clearly doesn't take very good ones. She has horrible charisma, and she says, "Oh, don't worry about it. Somebody has to be the small folk, right?"
Yeah. I guess. And she kind of like narrows her eyes over at Thronk, like, who did you bring here?
Maybe we should just get a table in a corner somewhere for now.
We'll come up to the counter if you need anything.
Okay.
And she just kind of like goes back to like cleaning some flasks or something.
So I'm gonna go over to an empty table somewhere and like throw my pack down on it, and then go up to the bar.
I set my pack next to his, sit at the table, and proceed to get the bar winch over to get my food order and what meat to bring me.
Well, as you're kind of looking around, Drygor, you notice that the only worker here is the lady up behind the bar. She seems to be the sole owner and operator. And the rest of you?
Yeah, that. What does she offer me, or do I get any weird looks from people around the room?
Well, yeah, people are definitely looking at you kind of weird, especially the table full of. There's like a table with like three ladies and a guy, and they're kind of sitting off about 10 feet away from you guys, and they're kind of like leaning in and whispering a little bit, and then they're kind of like looking over at you, like you kind of see them glancing over, and then as soon as you look over, they just kind of look away. They're definitely talking about you. You could probably tell by the way that they're acting. But as far as the lady who offers you food, she actually doesn't come over because she's still up at the bar, and she's just up there serving drinks and cleaning some things, and she probably just ignores your call.
Okay.
And Ruby and Laughing Fox, what do you guys do?
I think I'm going to inquire about the family living just outside of town.
Okay. You just gonna kind of ask the bartendress, or just who? Anyone? Just mosey around.
She's if anyone's gonna know, it's got to be the bartender. Everyone talks to the bartender, so.
Gotcha. Okay. So you and Thronk kind of go back up to the bar together. What about you, Ruby? I think Ruby, you're muted.
Are you
Okay.
you said Ruby, right?
Yeah,
or you
Ruby.
Dragon. Okay.
Yes.
Ruby, what are you doing? Do you stay up there at the bar, or do you just go sit down with Dragon?
Ruby would kind of find a seat next to, trying to find the most. Give me one second. Yeah, Ruby would just kind of try to sit next to Laughing Fox and have her enjoy the story of the book since she feigned interest.
Well, Laughing Fox and Thronk promptly get up and head over to the bar again. And upon getting up there, Thronk, she kind of looks at you and Laughing Fox approaching, and she kind of knows that she needs to step to the side and talk to you guys because you might be coming up to order or something. So when she does, she kind of leans over and says, just kind of whispers Thronk and says, "I don't want any of your friends causing any trouble. Please, just not again."
I will do what I can.
And she kind of leans back and looks at Laughing Fox and back at you, Thronk, and says, "What
I
can
would
I
just
do?"
like you to know that I would have never told Fang to do this. He's a foolish dog. He's a bad puppy. Rest in pepperoni. My pepperoni.
Okay. How is the mutton?
It's gone. That's how it is.
Do you have eggs? Bacon.
And she kind of looks around and she says, "We don't serve any food of any kind."
Okay. What liquor do you
And
have?
as you look behind her, you see that all she has is a couple of kegs and a shelf with maybe 2 bottles on it.
What has happened here? Like, there's always kind of a dive, but
Well, some say it's the curse, the mists. They kind of have been our crops just haven't been doing so well, and the cotton, it's definitely not what it used to be, and so Maroon's slowly dying.
What caused this?
Well, everything was all right for a while until, well, just something changed. The fields just stopped producing like they used to, and so the cotton kind of ran dry. Things just stopped growing like they should. So people started leaving town, and now we just don't have enough. We just don't have the manpower to keep it going no more.
how long ago was this?
A year maybe.
I couldn't happen but notice that there was an empty house just outside of town. It seems like people were leaving in quite a hurry.
Well, people have been leaving by the droves. As you look around, you might see more empty houses than filled. just a couple of us who just have too deep of roots, won't leave. And she kind of looks around at everyone here at the bar, except for you guys.
Is there has there been anything else happening here? Anything strange besides the crops?
Well, not really. Outside of just this place dying and everyone wanting to leave, and there's not a whole lot. A couple of break-ins. I mean, with the empty houses, there's bound to be a couple of people looking to take the opportunity on us poor folk. Hopefully not yourselves.
Was there any type of wizards or any like mage magus or anything that might have came through that might have caused us?
Well, if they did, no one here caught them, and believe me, we sure would have seen them. No one. You're probably the strangest thing I've seen in years. And she's looking right at you, Drygon.
Well, I'm strange in all the good ways. With a smirk in my face as I look right back at her.
Laughing Fox curses under her breath.
And the tavern owner, she's just so used to like that kind of crude humor that she just doesn't even react to it. Maybe she smiles a little bit, but she kind of definitely picks it up as humor.
We gotta. Well, we have to start with the important questions. Is there somewhere where we can get food?
Well, if one here just kind of fends for himself now, I mean, I have this, and she kind of reaches underneath and she pulls out kind of like a basket, and in the basket is a couple of breads. Some of them are seasoned, just like a handful of rolls, as well as some carrots and things. She's like, "This is all I have here. The rest is all at my home."
Okay. Well, we have had a long journey so far. It's been a long day. So if we could buy some of this off of you and a drink.
Well, yes, of course. I'd be more than happy to sell you a drink, but you can just have these. They're probably stale. And she just kind of hands you the basket, which isn't that big, but the loaves of bread are about a foot wide. So, they're decent-sized loaves. There's 3 of them in there, as well as 2 carrots. I don't know why there's carrots in there. There just are. But and what can I get you? What can I get you folks to drink?
Do you still have mead?
Oh, of course. The mead never runs dry in a
There
tavern.
we go.
And she turns around and she grabs a couple of wooden tankards and fills them up.
This might sound.
And she's already filling up 2 of them, so she's just assuming you guys want at least 2 because 2 of you came up.
So, question: how much can a Dragonborn drink before they get drunk, since they are?
Well, there is no predetermined amount. I guess you just drink until you get as drunk as you want to get, or you just drink a lot, and I ask you to roll a Constitution check, in which case we will determine how drunk you get.
All right, I will go for that one. I'm like, eh. And I'm like 300 pounds, 6 foot tall, 6 plus. I'm like, bring me. I'll take a keg.
The whole keg.
I'm a
And
growing
I'm
boy.
sitting here
I'm a-
just like,
I'm
this
a
is not
growing
going to end
boy.
well for me.
Well, I can't go and sell you my only keg unless you're willing to pay for it.
And as Ruby hears this, you kind of hear her perk up a bit, and she says, when you guys signed the application to join in this mission, you did have to check the box that said that you were not an alcoholic. Just making sure you guys know that, right?
Really? Can you not see that this is a social situation? These are
Yeah.
social drinks.
Social alcoholism is still social alcoholism.
Laughing Fox takes her mug and hands it to Ruby. I think you need this more than I do.
Ruby sniffs it as if it's a poisonous beverage, and he says, normally I might go for perhaps fermented grapes on the off occasion. And then she would look to the barmaid and she says, "Do you have a glass of milk?"
And the barmaid just kind of cocks her head a little bit to the side and said, "Do I look like a damn cow?"
I'm going to leave that one alone.
And just,
as you see the Dragon Ball eyes drift downward towards her cleavage.
And I'm just sitting there waiting for her to
and
look at me and be like,
and Ruby is trying to be polite at this point, right? So she says, "No, you're not large enough to be a cow." And she said it like kind of politely, but like she kind of inferred that she was still large.
And I'm still smiling and looking.
And the
cows are much larger than people, so I don't believe you are.
And the barmaid just kind of chuckles and goes, "No, hon, all I got is ale here. You'd have to fetch the well if you'd like some water."
And she says, "Well, I'd rather not, so sure, I'll have whatever your wateriest ale is, sure."
And she just turns back around and fills up the rest of, the tankards. And she looks back over you, Dragon, and she says, "Do you really want this?" As she motions to the keg. She says, "It's about half gone, but I will show you the rest."
Well, we have certain people in our party that might object, so I will have the human proportion. And points to one mug.
All right. Well, she goes ahead and fills up a mug for each of you. And she kind of hands a couple of them to, she hands one to Thronk and one to Laughing Fox. And she kind of walks over with the other two and sets them down on the table. Was there anything else I could answer for you folks?
Just out of character, what's it called? What do we find in that book, or any actual clues besides? Did we find like a note or something there?
Oh, in the journal?
Yeah.
Well, the journal was all written about Daryl, and most of it are his day-to-day trade activity there in the markets of Monera and things, and about his traveling from the town of Maroon up to Monera and back, just for various trading activities. However, in a couple of the sections, mostly near the end of it, in the last, during the last week since their disappearance, he's saying things like he just wants to go back to, he says that he wants to go back to Monera, and he says that he's unhappy with his marriage and that he wishes that he could leave Felicia and just take Giselle back to Monera, but they need to stay together for Giselle.
Oh, I'm starting to think they're in Monera now.
So, this Monera, is this like a pretty popular city nearby, or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, Monera is the town you guys just came from, where the carriage ride started that brought you here. Monera is a humongous port city. It's like the capital of the kingdoms of man, where there's sectioned off noble districts as well as the artisan districts and things, and a whole dock and port section. And in fact, this is where the guild house Goodrow had paid you guys to come down here to Maroon to investigate the place because of the disappearance of Daryl, who never arrived back in Monera like he was supposed to.
Yeah, if you kind of had that blank look of you didn't know what Monera was, Ruby would immediately walk up to you and regale you with the stories of the great library and of the great trade routes that go out to the. And it's strange, she picks these specific things, almost as if she has a secret meaning behind it. But she speaks of this vast library of infinite knowledge and these trade routes that go out deep into the wilderness that access these ancient tribes of lost men and elves, and how it is the most amazing city in the known world.
As Ruby starts getting into the minutia of Minera and whatnot, I'm gonna head over to the other table that you mentioned with the three women and the one guy that were like whispering and talking about us and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna walk up. Is there another chair at their table?
There is no other empty chair there.
There's one on I'm assuming there's one somewhere that's kind of on the path from where I'm at to their table.
Yeah. There's definitely one that you can pick up on your path to it, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna just walk, I'm gonna grab a chair, and I'm just gonna take it with me and just sit at their table like I've known them for years.
In fact, when you sit down, you do see someone you recognize immediately. And you actually recognize Bessie is her name. And Bessie kind of looks right at you and says, Thronk.
Hey, Bessie, how are you doing these days?
And you remember Bessie because she was with the guy that you punched out last time you were here. And she just kind of turns red as she sees you and says, "You're not here to punch anyone, are you? Because I don't have a boyfriend for you to punch."
Well, that's good to hear.
What are you doing here in Maroon?
This is already better than the entire show.
We're looking into a couple of things. There's some kind of nonsense, and I don't. You'd have to ask. You have to ask one of them. I'm just here because they think that they might need people punched out eventually.
So I nudge him in the shoulder and like, so who's this?
Well, this is Bessie. We go way back, the two of us. The rest of these people, I haven't caught your names yet.
Well, the other three people sitting there, you don't recognize the other three, but they definitely look around Bessie's age group because they weren't here that night, and they're definitely not regulars from around here. Bessie just kind of looks at you and says, "Well, yeah, I'm not too worried about that back then. I'm just wondering what you're doing here now, though. Like, what? I mean, are you looking for something? Did you come back here for me, or?"
Well, when I left, you were with somebody, if I recall correctly.
And I tell him the correct answer is yes.
Well, it looks like Joseph left and rejoined us. There he is. He's back. So she just kind of... Oh, what was that?
Connection issues.
So, Thronk, she kind of looks at you, and she's still kind of a little bit red. And she says, "Well, what's with you and your crazy friends?" She's definitely eyeballing Dragon there, like never seeing a Dragonborn in her life, and so are her friends. And they're just kind of quiet because they don't even know what to say.
Basically, we heard that there was some trouble going on, and somebody wanted us to come and look into it.
Oh, you heard about the break-in at my house?
Yeah. What? Can you give us any more details? We heard that there were some break-ins and whatnot, and could definitely use the details on that.
Yeah. Well, some dick came into my house, kicked in the back door. I don't know how that thing was dead bolted, and then took nothing but my food, all of my food. I had to come back up here to the market and get all of it myself again. And Thronk, as she's talking, you're kind of realizing why you didn't really stay around for it.
Can Ruby overhear this? Because she'd have something to say.
Yes. Yeah. Ruby's probably just 5 feet away, listening in.
Yeah. Ruby, I can tell some of the people keep leaving the tables whenever she says something ridiculous, but she overhears this, and was this like a recent story or like a story of the past?
Like just recent, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ruby would kind of muse aloud, kind of adjusting her glasses a bit, and she would say, were there tracks in your house, perhaps belonging to? And she kind of thinks for trying to come up with the correct word, and she says, small creatures, perhaps small little hands.
And she's kind of like squints her eyes a little bit and says, I have no fucking clue what made that mess in my house, but there is mud everywhere. I'm no tracker, but I'm not going back in that house, not in that condition. So I've been staying here at my friend's. We're headed back to Sinclair tomorrow morning. They came to get me tonight.
Okay.
Ruby would kind of like let out this, like, her eyes would roll as if this foolish amateur did not take the time to inspect the damage. But she would kind of look to her associates, and she would kind of wonder for a moment and then ask, perhaps we could investigate this house as well.
Oh, assuming the tracks are still there.
Well, then Ruby would interrupt, and she would say, well, it's clear she didn't clean anything.
And she kind of catches it, and she gets this kind of look on her face, like resting bitch face.
And Ruby would kind of look at her, and she'd be confused, and she would say, well, you said you didn't clean it, right?
No, I didn't clean it. Y'all can do whatever you want in there. We're leaving tomorrow morning. I'm staying over at the inn, and I already took all my things out of there, so do what you will.
Ruby nods at this, taking it as free reign to plunder any treasures that are left there, since she said quite clearly that we have free reign to do whatever we want there. And she nods understandingly.
And what I got out of that was, so you're staying at the inn?
Yeah, I'm staying at the inn.
Okay. We don't have rooms over there yet. Do you know if it's full for the evening?
And she kind of looks over at her friends and says, I didn't ask.
Ruby would interrupt and say, I'm sure this place must be booked to the gills. It's such a travel destination out here.
I nudge him in the arm, like, but you should have room for him in your room.
and she kind of turns red again, and she looks over at you, Thronk, and says, what did you tell them?
I didn't tell them anything.
Honey, I'm looking at you. I can tell already. Yeah. He needs to spend the night with you. As I give another smirkish grin of my dragonborn face.
You'd see Ruby adjust her glasses, and she would say, a simple investigation would seem to relay that there are relations with you and this individual.
Right.
The extent I'm not sure of, but the redness of your face, I don't believe that is an ailment.
And she just kind of stands up and says, I think we got to get going.
I'm sure you do, Bessie. I'm sure you do. You know if anybody else has been broken into around is still around town?
Well, I don't live in every house.
Well, yes, but you talk to some people around town, and you might have heard if they've been broken into. Or
you hear Ruby as she kind of narrates in her notes, does not live in every house. And then you kind of see her underline every house. As she kind of looks her over, and then it's like a square box around every.
Like this, that like goes over her head. Like even though your charisma is kind of low, it just sails over her head, and she doesn't even hear it. She's like, yeah, I don't live in every house. Anyway, no, I hadn't heard anyone else being broken into.
Okay.
And she looks like agitated and flustered.
And Ruby would kind of wish her farewell, and she would say, "Oh, just watch out for the wolves. They'll try to eat you if you go down the road. Just throw rocks at them or try to stab them with rapiers. It worked for us. It should work for you."
You know, Thronk, you should walk her home.
It would be much safer, I believe, if I escorted your group over to the inn.
And Thronk, as you're saying that, you remember that the inn is actually directly across the street from the tavern.
Don't do that directly from the.
You
Did
got
not
blocked.
forget that at all.
Got
Just-
blocked by the GM.
No, it's actually where it's at. That's where I described it as earlier.
I know. I'm just messing with you.
but no,
So,
she's like, well, yeah. If you want to walk us over there, I'm not gonna fight you for it.
Okay.
Yeah, see you in a couple of hours.
And I'll just walk over to the door, and then like after I'll be the last one out the door, and kind of turn around and just.
And I cheer them on like, yeah. Bring my couple meet up like, I'm the best wingman ever.
And so,
You're a human, right? You're a human, right? Just making sure.
Neither of us are human.
Oh, what race? What race are you guys?
I'm half orc.
Half? Oh, dang. And what race is she?
she's human.
She's human? Okay. So, you'd see Ruby, she would start to note down, like, rituals for how to make a half-orc. And, she's a bit perplexed that this is working at all. But, she just kind of lets it go.
But I'm a damn pretty half orc.
And she writes down oxymoron, and then, lets you go.
I brushed my tusk.
I, being the type of guy I am, so you write down your notes. I have to talk to the barkeep. And
Okay.
I stroll over to the barkeep.
So Thronk, you and the 4 people who were at the table, and one of them being Bessie, you guys, they head out the door, and then you kind of follow after, and the door kind of shuts behind you. And when you go out there, the dwarf is gone, obviously, but everything's kind of muddy and dark out, and you just kind of walk over to the inn. And we're going to come back to you. And Juve, as Drygon is approaching the bar, you can see the barmaid is stepping over toward the edge of the bar where you would be approaching at.
Mm-hmm.
What can I do for you?
Well, I will take me another drink if you don't mind. And this begins a rolls of charisma checks as he hits on the bar owner.
She
Okay.
loves them black dragons. You don't know about that.
Right? But she first she asks, well, before I get y'all refills, would you mind paying for the first round?
I look over Ruby like, yeah, pay the girl.
Ruby kind of looks at you for a moment. She contemplates making a comment about how you were late to work, but she bites her tongue a bit and fishes out a handful of silver and copper coins, and she kind of just places them on the counter, not really counting them, as if she's not particularly worried about the cost, knowing that this deal is worth far more than a few coins.
Gotcha. She sees especially the shillings there, and she kind of scoops them up immediately, and she is like she puts them in the bag, and she's oh yeah, oh certainly, I'll go ahead and get you guys your refills. Real quick, Laughing Fox, you falling asleep there?
Did we lose him?
Guys, he's muted still. Why don't you unmute?
Crap, I didn't see that I was muted. My bad.
Yeah, you've been muted this whole time.
I think he's
Ow.
been given too many stories about books.
I blame Ruby for that.
Okay, and I guess I've been too much of a gigolo. But yeah, I try to hit on the barkeep and see if anything transpired from that conversation of
Okay.
back and forth.
So go ahead and you're not exactly her type, so I'd like to see what kind of check would you like to use? Like persuasion, just a general charisma,
Intimidation.
intimidation,
Dang.
deception. I'm not really a dragonborn.
It might be because you're a black dragon. I don't know. Just saying.
Well, you are
I've heard they've
menacing.
got the largest tails.
Well,
Right?
I could use intimidation for the sheer fact uh of
What is your charisma, actually? I'm just curious.
charisma is 11,
Oh, yeah,
and
you're completely average. Okay.
I like how you just said it's completely average.
Yeah, I'm below average. Don't worry about it.
Right now, I'm trying to find on my character sheet what my basis for intimidation would be, which is
It's
intimidation
charisma.
+2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be just +2.
He's gonna like date me now, or I'll take you back to my cave.
Some girls like to, some women do prefer the strong aggressive type. So let's see how it goes. So
Assertiveness with women. No.
whoa,
Awesome.
plus that's a 19 plus the +2 for it. Yeah, that's
So,
a 21.
so tell me, how do you intimidate her into enjoying your company? So do you like tell
It's not.
stories of your heroism, or do you just kind of like aggressively talk down to her, or like what is it?
It's a command of presence is what I'm going for here. It's kind of like that bad thing that bad boys put off, like they are intrigued by the allure of mystery and danger. Is what I'm putting off from my, regale her of stories of my battles and what have you. Hey,
Oh, that comment. That comment was too powerful.
Yeah, this chat, but oh gosh, it's bad. Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. Let's keep this rated R, guys. Keep it rated R.
Okay, so
I'm trying to keep it. Oh,
I sat on that for a damn long time, and as soon as intimidation came up, that was the thing that popped in my head, and I was like, nope, not going to do it. And then it's just like, now let's describe how you intimidate. I'm like, but I typed it, so it's not fully on the recording. I'm sure.
Boy, it's not helping out gamers across the planet right now. So let's continue.
Okay, so she definitely genuinely seems attracted to you now. Like she's like enjoying your presence and what you're telling her and your stories and things. And she's really interested in the mystery behind your story. As you probably tell her something about being a soldier or a commander of some sort, and some of your past and things. And she's kind of really into that because it's mysterious to her and it's exotic. So she just kind of like sits there and keeps filling up your tankards and doesn't even bother charging you for the rest of the night.
All right,
So
that will work.
So as you're doing that, go ahead and give me a Constitution check, please.
No, don't vomit on her.
Constitution saving check. Yeah.
If you vomit on her, I think she'll die. You're a black dragon.
Acid brew. Oh no.
Oh, yeah, right. It could be bad.
Okay, so that is a Constitution save. Am I supposed to roll below or above the Constitution?
You wanna the saving throws. What were your two saving throws? I forgot. I didn't mark it on the character sheet on you. He is a fighter.
Oh, it's strength and con.
Strength con.
Strength.
Okay, so
Yeah,
con, you're going to get a +2 in addition to your +1, so it's going to be a +3 altogether on your con. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And always rolling over. So equal to or greater than whatever the DC is. So high numbers are good.
So right, well, that might not be the case right here, because right now I got a 9 plus 3, so that's 13 total.
12.
Excellent. So you actually down quite a few of these before you start to feel a pretty good buzz coming over you, and you're starting to feel pretty warm, pretty mellow. Your inhibitions are kind of down, and you're just enjoying your time. but you don't get to the point that you're like vomiting all over the place unless you continue
Okay.
drinking.
At this point, since you've just said that, I know my own limit, and the soldier must be somewhat on his toes. I say, thank you very much, ma'am. I believe this will be it for me for the night. I will take. I will. Before this becomes too intriguing, I will return to my party. But we shall do this. Should do this again. And I kindly tip her like a gold shell, a piece, one bit of gold. Walk over to my party and like said, "Well, that was enjoyable."
Well, Ruby and Laughing Fox, what were you guys doing this entire time that Drygon was over there charming the barmaid?
Ruby is just watching him taking notes. She kind of takes like a numerical calculation on how much alcohol he can drink before he gets massively drunk, and she finds that he's quite a powerful dragon, perhaps worthy of combat, maybe. And she kind of holds his hand though as he walks away from the bar, making sure he doesn't fall down.
Laughing Fox will have poured at least one down Ruby's throat.
Ruby totally had one. You could tell from looking at Ruby though, she couldn't handle like more than two, even like a water. You can tell she's like super spindly.
The one drink has her slightly inebriated, so she's just talking non-stop.
You're not quite sure though. It seems like she kind of always does that anyway, but maybe it's even worse now.
Speaking of taking a little break, Corey, I will go to you. If you three want to run off and grab a drink, use the bathroom or something, Corey, we can either start with you when we come back, or we could go ahead and do it now if you guys want to skip the break.
I'm fine to go whenever.
Okay. Did you guys want to take a quick 5-minute, or are you good?
You can take like
I'll take the 5.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just take a 5.
Okay, we'll take a 5, and we'll come back and start with you, Corey.
Okay.
If one person will, I might as well. Don't do
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I am a little lost at how to proceed.
I got you. I will be back here in just about 5 minutes.
We have to scour the town for books. Yes.
We do have one more house to look at for more clues. So
perhaps they're wealthy enough to own a book. Coloring book, maybe.
Someone just sent me a friend request.
Who?
Yeah, someone just sent me a friend request, and I'm not sure who this is.
I had one of those today, and I checked my friend, and only one person had that person. I was like, oh, it's a spammer. That's the best way to tell it. If they don't have any other friends and it's a chick, probably a spammer. Especially when they ask you where you live. Yeah. When they type in ASL, and I'm like, American Sign Language, what?
ASL, is this 20 years ago? Or
Someone who likes reenactments and has a ton of friends and knows, like...
I'm sure they have a ton of friends.
They know Juve.
If they know more than one person on your friends list, they're probably legit. If they know one, you could ask Juve if he knows them.
They're legit. I'm just trying to remember where I know them from.
It'd be funny if it was like my invite and I just tell you to like block me. Yeah, don't trust that motherfucker. Dude, spamming you, dude. I'll be right back.
Yeah. My problem is I've got like 6 or 8 friends on Facebook that will add just about anybody, and so I'll see requests and I'm like, it's like 6 mutual friends, and I'll see who they are, and I'm like, oh, it's a spammer, and they're too dumb to not add spammers.
Yeah, those are. I get a couple of, and I hate it because it's always like, ooh, look, someone sent me a friend request. I feel special, like someone wants to be my friend, and then I click on the person and I'm like, oh, this is not real. It's a drive-by porn announcement or something. Like we get a few of those in the group where fortunately they're deleted pretty quickly. They just like someone just posts a totally not a phishing site.
Okay. Oh, by the way, if I'm going too too funny and too intrusive or too annoying with my roleplay on Ruby, you can just tell me and I'll cut it back a bit. I don't know if it's getting irritating. Some people might
Yeah,
find it irritating.
it's fine. I'm just trying to think of how to proceed forward because I want to pursue the storyline. I'm just
Well, I'll tell you a
at a
secret.
loss.
Like, I'm all about roleplay, so if we spent the whole session in the bar and as long as it was fun roleplay, I wouldn't mind. Obviously, I would like to go fight stuff. You know, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it though.
Hey, I haven't gotten to like fight anything yet, so it's
Hey,
been.
didn't you shoot a bow and miss?
I killed something, one
Oh.
thing,
I killed
but
nothing, so yeah. Remember I botched like my first 4 rolls?
I converted over today the zombie lord from one Ravenloft adventure, one of the Ravenloft adventures, and I so want to run that at some point now because this thing, I think I really,
Is it a class or a monster?
it's a monster. It, I think I really captured the flavor of Ravenloft will shred your characters to pieces.
So, what books are you using to do the cover? Are you using the last one that White Wolf had, which was Sword and Sorcery?
What?
Well, before the Ravenloft, the last time it was like had a bunch of books for it was in third edition, 3.0, 3.5. White Wolf had another publishing company called another line of publishing called Sword and Sorcery, and they released the Ravenloft books for 3.5.
For mine, I think I tend to actually, yeah, I think I use the 3.5 mostly for Ravenloft. Although I do like a lot of the AD&D rules; they're pretty much almost the same. Like most of the setting material I use for pre-run settings with 5th edition, I use 2nd edition stuff like Planescape and Ravenloft both. Although I'm kind of on the fence about whether or not to use 2nd edition or 3rd edition Ravenloft material.
Well, pretty much majority of I might be incorrect. I have to talk to my friend Kyle Hood because he's into Ravenloft a lot. I think a lot of it got converted over to Sword and Sorcery, which was a 3.0 or 3.5 set of books.
Well, it's not 3rd edition 3.5 is still Wizards of the Coast for Ravenloft. When White Wolf had it, they released a setting called Mask of the Red Death. And that was their sort of like Ravenloft-esque thing. That's what they do with Ravenloft when they had it. And
Gotcha.
now, fourth edition and probably in 5th edition too, it's not really a coherent campaign setting anymore.
Then what I would do is just take all the 2nd edition material that you can get your hands on via either hard, physical, or PDF, and just start converting it over.
Yeah, well, apparently they split up all the domains to where it's not like one landmass anymore. They're just a bunch of pocket domains floating around in the Shadowfell.
Well, I mean, you're the GM, so you pretty much decide whether or not you want to go with that canon or not. If you want them all as one landmass, I mean, me personally, when I'm doing GM work, I just decide what I personally want and then I go with it. But I also treat my RPGs like I'm directing a movie. And
Yeah.
so it depends on what I'm trying to go for this particular, episode or movie.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well, you guys ready to wrap up this 5-minute break?
I'm
Yeah.
always ready.
Okay. So, Thronk, as you guys leave the tavern, you can hear the sounds of the night have definitely crept in, and the mists are kind of forming there in the town itself and kind of moving its way through. And it feels very chilly out, especially compared to how it was before you'd entered the tavern. It definitely has dropped quite a bit in temperature, and you and these three ladies and this guy kind of walk across the street together, and and she passes, she crosses completely and gets over to the inn, and you're kind of following there with her, and she goes in to the inn, and there's just kind of like a little sitting area, and it's a very small room. It's a very small place, and you can see just when you walk in, there's no like hallways leading off anywhere. There's just three doors right there.
Okay.
Like 10 by 10 rooms possibly. And just off to your right, this little sitting area, there is not exactly a desk or anything, but more or less just a table with a guy sitting behind it as he's reading through some books and things and messing around with things on his desk. You could tell that he just kind of lives here. He's probably the guy operating the place as well, because his personal belongings are just kind of scattered around this sitting area. And he's like too absorbed in what he's doing, on his paper as you and these four people walk in. And so they don't really say anything to him. Bessie and them don't say anything to him. They just kind of walk straight ahead to the room. And two of the rooms are rented out. One room for the guy by himself and one of the girls, and the other room for the other two girls.
Okay. It's Bessie's with the other girl, not with the guy?
Yeah. Bessie's with the other girl. And she stops before she goes in. She's like, thanks for walking us across here. The place has just been spooky here recently, and it just hasn't felt right. And it's going to be so good to get out of town tomorrow morning.
I'm sure. If hopefully this other room is available, and I'll be around if something happens tonight. That if you need anything.
Well, she looks at the door, and you can tell that it is available because of the three rooms, it's the only one with the door still open, which is kind of like an indicator that you would recognize from last time you were here, because you probably had to stay at the end. That the open door always meant that it's unoccupied.
Okay. So I'm going to let them go into the room.
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm going to talk to the guy for a minute.
Okay. He seems like really enthralled with what he's reading. And so he doesn't even notice that you walked up to the table that he's kind of sitting at.
Okay. And I'm gonna like just clear my throat a little bit and try to get his attention.
And he looks up at you, Thronk, and at first he's just he's got this normal expression, but as soon as he sees your face, he just kind of he's like, oh, hi. Sorry, you spooked me.
I'm sorry. I seem to have that effect on people around here. You got a room for the night? I've got a few people with me.
Yeah. And he looks around, and there's like a pouch sitting off to the left, and he picks it up, and he looks underneath it, and he's like, oh, here it is, and he finds like a key, and he holds it up, and he goes, it's only 2 copper for a night. Or not 2 copper, I'm sorry, 2 silver for a night.
2 silver for a night? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reach down and I'll check my my pouch and go, here, this should cover it. You can hold on to the key. They're going to be over they'll be over in a little while. They can collect it, or I'll get it from you when I come back.
Is there someone I should look for, or a name? I don't want to give this to anyone.
Right. I think you'll know them when you see them. There's a couple of like elves with one has red eyes. There's a half dragon kind of thing. We stand out.
A dragon. Half dragon.
Dragonborn. Yeah.
A dragonborn.
Yeah.
In Maroon. Well, I gotta see this. Are you for real?
I absolutely am.
And he just is so bewildered by what you're telling him. It's like it's like straight out of one of the stories that he's probably reading. And he definitely seems really interested in things, and he's a younger fella, so you can kind of see the excitement in his eyes when you start talking about these things.
Right. In fact, you can ask the Dragonborn about his time in the military. You see. He's got a great story about a time they've had to take down a keep. It's enthralling, I promise you.
Oh, excellent. So I'll hold on to this then, and I'll give it to them when I see them.
Okay. And then I'm going to promptly walk over and knock on the door to Bessie's room.
And the door just kind of opens, and you walk in, and the door closes, and we'll come back to the other three.
Okay, that's a good one right there.
Anyway, so you
seconds later.
you three at the bar, you guys are just wrapping up your tab, or you just just got done saying what you were saying a moment ago, right before our break, and so you guys are headed out of the tavern toward the inn.
Yes, Ruby would be holding the black dragon's hand just to make sure he doesn't fall over.
I wave back to the bar owner. I'm like, it's been a pleasure. We shall do this again, and I will spend more money on you next time.
And as he says that, Ruby kind of writes down on her notes, spend money that he didn't spend. And she kind of just smirks and leads him out of the place knowing that he didn't spend any of his own money.
That's the key. That's always the key.
Okay, so you guys head out, and it's dark, and the fog is just kind of closing in. And Drygor, you're just kind of like stumbling around a little bit, and it's like, the alcohol's like, it feels like part of it is starting to hit you, right? Your buzz was a moment ago, and now you're definitely starting to get at the edge of buzz and drunken. So you're kind of cautiously walking across the street, trying not to slip and things.
Yeah.
Ruby's holding his hand, remember?
Exactly. Could I get a perception check from each of you, please?
And
Juve, you'll take it at disadvantage.
TPK. All right, Ruby apparently didn't drink very much at all. Apparently,
so
she has a 18.
Okay. And Mike, I don't know if you're. Are you still with us? It looks like you're. Okay.
I just turned my camera off.
Gotcha. We can't see your rolls, by the way, so you'll have to let us know.
Oh. What was it, perception?
Yes, please.
See, that is 8.
Excellent. Okay, so you're kind of distracted probably by the Dragonborn here, who is trying to make his way across here. But Ruby, as you're holding his hand, you kind of see something off to your left, back toward the crossroads where that sign was at. And at first, it kind of looks like a white gown. But it's moving quickly, and it's through the trees. And it kind of disappears into the woods. But it's only there for just a moment. But you do see this white kind of a gown just kind of moving between the trees there for a moment. The trees there for a moment. And as you see this, you definitely feel like there's like the mist is closing in around you guys, and it's definitely getting much colder than it was before.
Ruby would kind of stop the Dragonborn, kind of stopping and perhaps halting his movement just kind of by the fact that he's kind of staggering to begin with. And she says, there's something nearby. I saw what looked like perhaps a ghost or unaccompanied clothes floating nearby. Something following us, and like it obviously sounds a bit crazy, but it's up for you to believe what you want to believe, I suppose.
Do you think it's danger nearby?
And well, if there's any type of check I would make to know what this is, I can probably make it. I don't know if it's Arcana or History or whatever you want me to make.
Well, Ruby, just kind of seeing this thing, you don't necessarily get the sense of danger, but the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. Like there's some sort of like a presence here that you don't feel very comfortable with.
Yeah, she would kind of look to them and say, I think it's an evil spirit or a
As
lost
soon as she
soul.
says that, I like let go of my hair. I walk two steps forward, kneel, shove my finger down my throat, induce vomiting to clear the alcohol from my brain.
That
As you
uh,
as you're vomiting, this black like ichor is just kind of coming out of your mouth. This acid is just kind of pouring out of you, Juve, and it's kind of sloshing and mixing in with the mud, kind of negating its acidic effect. But you can hear it kind of sizzling as you
Yeah.
are as you know induce vomiting, and you can hear it hissing on the ground, and all you can smell is this like toxic alcoholic kind of a smell.
So
And
in other words, am I getting sober up because of this?
you definitely you don't start sobering up immediately, but you do know that you've gotten all the alcohol out of your stomach, so that the rest of whatever's in your bloodstream is just what you have. It's not going to continue getting worse.
All right, I like spit a little, wipe wipe the excess onto on my actual skin, not my armor.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I hope you're right about this because I just threw up a crap load of alcohol that you just paid for.
And she thinks about it for a moment, and she says, I think it would be a better investment if the alcohol wasn't inside of your body anyway. And as she says that, she kind of looks around nervously, trying to figure out what's going on here as the fog kind of thickens, and she has like this voice in the back of her head that says, maybe we should get to the end just in case.
I pull out my scimitars in defensive measure and then back them up as I let them and I cover the rear.
Okay.
good idea.
How far
And
away are
as,
we? I'm
how
sorry.
far away from you from what?
The inn. I know it's across the street, like.
Yeah, you're like dead center in the middle of the road, so it's about 15 feet away, 15, 20
Okay.
feet.
And as I close the door, as I get in, I yell across the street, you might want to barricade your door. There might be evil afoot to the bar owner next door.
Well, the
Somebody.
door is the door to the tavern is kind of shut, so she probably wouldn't hear you. But there is kind of like a guard standing over by, um, like 60 feet off to your left, and you can kind of see him carrying a torch, and he's heading from further in town, the opposite direction of where Ruby might have seen this kind of apparition of some sort. And he just kind of shouts in response to you saying what you said. What'd you see? And you just like hear him like with this doofy voice down the ways, like kind of curious as to what's going on down here because you're yelling.
I tell him there might be something evil afoot. Don't know what, but be on your toes, soldier. And then I go into the inn.
Okay.
Put up the barricade bar in front of on top of the door.
So you guys enter into the inn then, correct?
Mm-hmm.
As you do so, this guy kind of looks up. Like as soon as the door opens, he's looking for whoever's coming through this door next. He's looking for a dragonborn. And he kind of sees Ruby, and
Who's not an elf? Who's not an elf, by the way?
Oh, sorry. You're all elves to me, I guess.
That's
Are you-
racist.
Are you human?
Yes, Ruby is a human.
My bad.
Although she has relatives that would definitely know of elves for sure.
So you guys head in, and he kind of snaps his head up when he sees Laughing Fox and Ruby enter into the inn, and he's still holding, like he's grasping the key in his hand. He's like, "Oh, is the dragon with you?" And then he sees Drygon kind of come in and shut the barricade over the door, and he's like, "What are you doing to my door?"
My friends have alerted me that there might be evil afoot, so just in case.
And You can go. You can finish what you were gonna say.
Oh, he was just, I don't know what you're talking about, but I have a key for you folks.
Ah, see.
Ruby would
On my
stare. Is there one key?
Yes, it's just one key, and he holds it up. And he points to the open door that's all by itself, and there's 3 rooms. 2 of the doors are closed, and then the third one is open.
You'd see Ruby immediately make a beeline for the bed.
Like you don't even take the key, you just leave.
There's important things in life.
I just shake my head. The untrained. Anyway. Thank you.
And he hands the key over to you, and he's like just staring at you with these big eyes, like you're just some sort of monster that he's getting to see in real life. And he hands the key off to you, and he just doesn't say anything. He's just like big-eyed staring at you.
I look at him. Do you have an extra chair that I can put in front of our door? Because it looks like I'm taking first watch.
Well, there's these chairs here, and he motions to some of the more comfortable-looking chairs with some upholstery on them behind him in the sitting area.
I take one, put it beside the door where the people are sleeping at. Take my scimitars off, put it beside the chair, and I sit, and I draw a small smoking pipe, light it, and sit there and smoke.
Excellent. So Ruby's already headed off, so she just like took off. Laughing Fox, what do you do?
All right. I guess if we're getting a room for the night, it sounds like that's what we're doing.
All right. So you guys head off to your room and you bunker down. And, you know, the room isn't the best, but the mattresses are actually really nice. Like, they're like goose feathers in the mattress and things. So it's down and it's very soft. And you guys kind of rest very easily through the night. How are you doing this this watching over the inn kind of deal that you're doing there, Dragon? Is there something you work out with the group, or?
The way I look at it is this here. I will do the first 4 hours, and then I will, before I go to bed, I'm like, get hold of the half-orc. I'm like, see if he is occupied. If he is not occupied, I would tell him, you got the next 4 hours.
He's still occupied 5 hours later, guys.
So everyone heads off
to a doctor at that point.
Relentless endurance.
So like everyone heads off to bed, and you're kind of sitting there smoking your pipe, Dragon, and after about 4 or 5 hours go by, you go over, and there's the 3 doors. You know, obviously the one on the far right is where Ruby and Laughing Fox are asleep. Which door do you knock on?
The second door.
Okay, so you knock on the second door, and Corey, give me a charisma check. Or you can use persuade.
Persuasion?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you see, the thing about that.
What happened was...
I mean... you know, stuff, and it was a 9.
Okay. So, Dragon, as you knock on the door opens up, and there's Thronk, who's got, like, just his pants on, and everyone else in the room seems to be asleep.
Yes.
So, I've been up for about 4 hours. I'd like to get some actual sleep. Are you done having relations at this point? Are you free to take over the next 4 hours?
I tell you, these girls, they don't last as long as they used to.
I could have told you that. My time in the military, I can regale you with tales of how the humans has always come up short to the lack of stamina and vigor.
I will trade you stories with tales from heading into port.
I slap her on the shoulder, good man. So, is the barkeep still up?
Well, when do you head off to the bar then to find out, or?
I'm
the
talking about
inn.
I'm talking about the keep owner.
Innkeeper?
Oh, the innkeeper? No, the innkeeper's like dead asleep, and he's like laying in a lounger right out there by the front desk. You can
So
definitely tell this is pretty much where he's living.
I tell Thronk, well, you got the chair. I'm gonna take off my armor, my sheet metal, and what have you. I presume you have your own weapons nearby, so I'll take my scimitars and I'll take the floor.
I should have anything I need.
Okay. Well, you have a bedroll there, Drygon. It's in your
Oh
pack.
yes, I do. Then I throw out the bedroll and
Mhm.
go to sleep in the bedroll.
Excellent. So you guys rest throughout the night. And Thronk, do you wake anyone else up, or do you just kind of sit there all day, or do you just kind of fall asleep?
Well, he didn't tell me why we're keeping watch, so I figure it's just kind of a general paranoia on his part.
Okay.
Military. I'm former military, so of course I've always been watched.
Right. So I'm thinking it's probably mostly kind of paranoia, and I'm like, so I'm not going to put any kind of special effort to staying awake, but I'll sit out in the chair and
Okay.
kind of drift off.
The best way to stay awake at night is to stay sitting down, by the way, guys. Remember that. It'll make you fall asleep real fast.
So you kind of sit there and you kind of doze off a few times, but the morning light kind of wakes you up, and Laughing Fox, you probably or Ruby, if you have a pretty strict sleeping schedule, you guys probably wake up earlier than everyone else, and the sun is definitely coming over the horizon and lighting up through the windows, and you guys can definitely tell that it's definitely the beginning of the morning.
Yeah. You could tell just by looking at Ruby, she's the type that would wake up at the crack of dawn just because it's easier to read in the light of day, perhaps not straining her eyes underneath candle lights, and just generally having to do the occasional class for the students, and
Gotcha.
making them suffer through the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
She would definitely be first awake out of everyone, perhaps. Maybe not the elf, but up early for sure.
Okay. And Laughing Fox.
All right, yeah, Laughing Fox was probably awake hours ago. Elf only sleeps for 4 hours, so
Yeah. So you've probably been like roaming around, meditating, and scouring the rest of that journal and things.
yeah.
Bullshitting around the entire time I've been doing watch.
Doing the watch, yes.
Okay, so you guys kind of wake up and you head out there in the general area, and you kind of wake up Thronk, and I'm assuming that eventually that Drygon's going to wake up, and you're all going to be up, and sort of moving around and getting your equipment put together and checking yourself to make sure you got everything that you needed before you left. And here's where I will ask you guys if you want to continue going into the next day for a little bit, or if you guys wanted to call it good here because it is 12:05. I'm okay with going for longer. I can go up till 2 o'clock at maximum, so it's up to you guys.
I'm free to go as long as you need to go, since we didn't play on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm gonna bow out here. I'll see if I can make it this Thursday. Actually, now that I think about it, the normal thing I got going on Thursday, I don't think it's gonna happen this week. So I should be able to make it, but I'll get back to you on that.
Okay.
For right now, I am gonna fall asleep on you guys if I continue. So.
Oh, you're good. You're good. It was more of a role-playing session with the investigation and things this round. And, well, if we're only doing like 2-hour sessions at a time, so there's going to be more sessions before we get to the end of this.
Laughing Fox oversleeps like a true proper elf and is left behind at the end as the party examines the crime scene further.
She'll catch up. You can't really elude her. She's good at that.
Okay. What about you, Thronk?
Well, people are taking off, so I figured
Juve.
we'd end it. But I'm good to go. Please keep going.
Honey, what time do we have stuff to do tomorrow?
If we go, we have to be there like by 8:30, 8:45 in the morning.
Yeah, it's 9 o'clock right now, so I should start getting ready to go to bed.
Okay. Well, we will call it here then, guys, if you don't mind.
I just don't know if you're not interested in doing this, if we should even bother.
Saving the game?
I believe that I will be vowing out at this point because I have stuff to do on behalf of my wife tomorrow.
Legit.
You don't have to.
So I
All
will
right.
see y'all and pay y'all adieu.
Okay.
This is
Well, I will.
Wreck Apocalypse signing out.
Well, I will go ahead and stop the broadcast, and we'll finish up there. All right. Thank you.